Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm here with one of my favorite videos I do at the end of the year where I chat about my favorite romances of the year by month. So every single book, okay, let me explain it this way. I have a graphic that I love to post on Instagram that I put my favorite book of each month, and I only choose one, and I love doing the video accompaniment to that graphic, and it's just like so much fun to see what my favorite read was from each month of the year. So the first book I'm going to talk about is Ashes of You by Catherine Kells. I read this in January. I got an arc of it. This book is one of my favorites of the year. It is just fantastic. It is a single dad and nanny romance where the heroine, she was in a really bad, like, traumatic event where she was put in danger, and it was just like a horrible experience, and the hero actually was there when it happened. He is a police officer, and so he was kind of there and like also saved her in the moment. And so now it is years later, and she's coming back to this small town where everything went down, and she is applying for a nanny job, and she finds out that it's a hero, and he has 3 sons. And at first she didn't know it was him, and he didn't know it was her. So they kind of have this like, oh, like, I know you moment. And she applies for the job, and she gets it. And so she starts working for them and his family, and the hero's just going through a lot at the moment also. He feels a lot of like guilt over parenting because of his kids not having a mother in the picture, and just like feeling really guilty, especially with his oldest son, because his oldest son is dealing with a lot of emotions. And so the heroine really like smooths that over and like helps a lot within the family dynamic, and it is just so good. And I love her connection with the hero. He's also older. He's a police officer. He is just, I love him. And Hallie is just trying to like heal and work through her trauma, but also she has this angsty chemistry with the hero, but she's also, it's like forbidden because she's his nanny, and it is just such a fantastic romance. Absolutely adore this one. It's so good. Definitely one of my favorites of the year. Then I have probably my, I don't know if I want to say this yet. Like, one of my favorites of the year, top 3. House of Flame and Shadow by Sarah J. Maas. This is the 3rd book in the Crescent City series. I absolutely adore this so much. It's so good. Look at the tome. It's like so big. But this just like answered so many things in this one. This one I literally read in 2 days because I was completely obsessed. It's the most fast-paced romance in the series, and it is just absolutely fantastic. I just like loved it so much. It's just like so fast-paced, and I loved all of the character development. I loved what we learned in this one. And this series is a urban fantasy series set in a world with all types of creatures, and it follows the heroine. She recently lost her best friend, and she's trying to uncover the murder of what happened, and so she teams up with the hero named Hunt, and they go on like a wild goose chase around the city trying to figure out what happened to her friend and uncover lots of secrets and things of the past, and it's very good. So I love this series so much. Definitely one of my favorites of the year. Then in March, I read Grip. I finished the Grip trilogy, and this book, oh my God, it is fantastic. I loved it so much. So this one is a second chance, very angsty romance where the hero and heroine were almost a thing back in the day, but he kind of like, there was like a miscommunication, a betrayal kind of, and so the heroine's kind of closed herself off to the hero because she is just like, I don't want to be hurt again, and I don't want the possibility of being hurt. So for years they pine after each other, and just like she wants to be with him and he wants to be with her, but she won't let it happen because she's scared of being hurt again. And so they have just this like angsty tension and push and pull, and it is so good. He is also best friends with her brother. She is his agent and publicist. He is an artist, Grip is. And this one is just, it's so much more than a romance. I've talked about this book so many times on my channel, but this one just delves into so many deeper topics. This is an interracial couple, and we really delve into what it means to be an interracial couple in America, and we talk about police brutality, racial profiling, and I just really loved this book, and I love the way it explored these topics, and it's just so beautiful, and I love this trilogy so much. I could talk about it on and on, but it's like one of my favorite books ever. It's just so, so good. I can't recommend it enough. The audiobooks are amazing. Jacoby Diem narrates, and I don't remember the other one. Shoot. I think it's Eva Erickson. No, that's not right. Maxine Mitchell narrates for the heroine, but I love the audiobooks. I was obsessed listening to them. I couldn't stop listening to them. I would play them like all day, every day, because I had to know what was going to happen with their romance because it's so good. Then in April, I read Wild Love by Elsie Silver. This is a second chance friends to lovers, workplace forbidden, brother's best friend romance. So the heroine, she recently got fired from her job where she was actually sexually assaulted, and they fired her because the guy was like a big shot person in the company, which is just like such crap. But anyways, she moves back to her small town that she grew up in, and she's just trying to figure out life. And Ford, the hero, he offers her a job at his record producing company to kind of like help her get on her feet and figure out her life. And Ford, he recently found out that he has a 12-year-old daughter. He donated sperm when he was like 19 and finds out that he has a daughter, and she's like, I need to stay with you. Like, my parents are going through some stuff. Like, can I stay with you? And he's like, sure, like, I guess so. And so he kind of goes through a lot of character development in this book, trying to figure out how to be a father and connect with his daughter. And it is just so cute. And the heroine and hero just have so much mutual pining between them. They have really great banter. I just love how they know each other so well, and it just feeds so well into a romance between them. And this one is just fantastic. I love the small town. It's set in British Columbia in a small mountain town with a lake, and it is just so picturesque. And I'm obsessed with Ford. He is like a good guy, like cinnamon roll hero, but I just am obsessed with him. He's just like so cute, and I love him. In May, I read Skies Over Caledonia by Samantha Young. This is one of my favorite romances by her ever. It's so good. So the heroine, she and the hero met in a bar years ago in Scotland, and they had kind of a moment together, but they didn't go for it at the time, and because she was younger and he was older. Nowadays, years later, and she's coming home to Scotland to visit her sister, but she finds out that if she leaves Scotland, she won't be able to have citizenship. So she proposes to the hero that they go into a fake marriage, a marriage of convenience, so that she can have citizenship in Scotland to be with her sister, and she'll give him money to kind of support his farm that he owns. And he agrees, and so she ends up having to stay with him at the farm, and they have to fake it to all of her family and friends. And they just have like a lot of like angsty tension that's been building up for years, and it is so good. And they definitely have an effort moment in this one where they just go all into their attraction towards each other. And I love that in a romance. And he is like, you're my wife. And she's like, this isn't a real marriage. He's like, to me it is. I'm like, what? I love the hero in this one. He's just so grumpy and gruff and just perfect. And I love him so, so much. In June, I read The Outpost by Devney Perry. This is a really interesting like witness protection type romance. So the heroine, she's a journalist, and she was dating this mafia guy trying to get intel for a story, and she ends up getting in a really dangerous situation where he figures out her identity and is like, I am going to kill you, basically, and like the people that she was around, like in the mafia. And so she gets out of that situation and gets put into witness protection, and she goes to this small town, and she is put in this cabin in the woods called the Outpost to try and be on the down low and not attract attention. And so the hero is the guy that is kind of like in charge of her witness protection, and he will go like every week to give her supplies and spend time with her. They kind of start this friendship over the time of her being at the Outpost. And it is just such an organic, slow progression of a romance, and I love how obsessed they become with each other, and they get so excited to see each other every week at the Outpost, and it's just so cute, and they start to get to know each other. They play board games, and I just really love this one. It's a very like sweet romantic suspense romance, and I just remember being obsessed with it and couldn't stop listening to the audiobook. And I loved how she had this like doubt of how would they transfer into the real world with their relationship. And the hero just puts all of those doubts to rest, and it is just so good. I really, really love this one. Then in July, I read Dawn of Flames. I don't even remember if this is the third book or I wish it would like say on the spine. Oh, it is the third book. It does say. Okay, this is the third book. So this one is a Dragon Shifter romance series, and I love this one. This is the third and final book, and there's just so much that happens in the series. It's just so much fun. It's a wild ride. So the heroine, she doesn't know that she's a dragon shifter, and so the first day of college, she meets this guy who's like, I can smell you, like you're one of us. And she's like, what do you mean? And he's like, you're a dragon shifter. And so he has a whole like brood of brothers, and they all are trying to find a mate, and they figure out that she is their mate, but they can't tell her that, and it is so good. And some of them are trying to reject the mate bond. One of them is a billionaire. This is why I choose, by the way. One of them is a professor at the university, and I love how unique all of the romances are with each of the heroes, and it's very fast-paced because her parents were also murdered when she was younger, and so they're trying to like uncover the mystery of that. And there's a lot of like twists and turns with like the government agency of like dragon shifters and creatures, and it's a lot of fun. It's very spicy. They're shorter, and I listen to them all on audio, and I highly recommend the audiobooks. But I love this series, and this one was so good. In August, I read Forbidden King by Laura Pavlov. This is a brother's best friend forbidden romance set in Magnolia Falls. This is a small town romance. So the heroine, I think she is coming back to the small town before she like goes. No, I think she's just moving back to the small town, because there's one that's like this one in another series by her that I get confused by. But she is back in the small town, and she's seeing the hero for the first time in years, and they kind of start coming around each other, and her brother's kind of like not in the picture at the moment, but they just have so much attraction towards each other and like a really good friendship foundation. And so he can't keep his distance any longer, and they start crossing the line between like friends to lovers, and it is so good. I remember loving this one, and I just loved like their slow progression of their romance and how they crossed the line. And they were like, I don't really care what your brother says. And it's just such a good small town brother's best friend romance. In September, I read Wild Eyes by Elsie Silver. This one was fantastic. I absolutely adored it. So the heroine, she is a music artist in Nashville, and she also has a big like influencer Instagram type thing, and she is going to this small town in British Columbia to kind of get away from the press. She has been facing a lot of scrutiny lately, and so she meets the hero randomly when she is trying to take like pictures of two bears. And the hero, he lives in the town, and he's like, what are you doing? Like, you're gonna get us both killed. So that's our meet cute, and it's so funny. And so she finds out that he is best friends with her producer and like manager of her like music, and she's there to record new music and work on it and try to find herself again. And she just also becomes neighbors with the hero, and he has 2 kids, and she is just always around them. And I love this romance. Like, Wes is just perfection, and he is just so patient with Sky and letting her figure out what she needs to figure out, and it is just so good. I love Wes so much, and he is hilarious. He's like on a bowling alley league, and he is just like perfection to me. And I loved his like co-parenting relationship with his ex, and it's just such a solid romance. I'm obsessed with it. It's so good. Then in November, I read Broken Harbor by Catherine Cowles. This is her latest romance in her Sparrow Falls series, and I love this one. It was fantastic. This is a single mom hockey, very emotional romance. So the heroine, she is in Sparrow Falls because she got out of a really abusive relationship and where she was put in danger, her and her son were. And so she's like, I'm getting out of there. And she moves to Sparrow Falls and starts up a bakery and is starting up a whole new life. And she's just trying to do the best she can for her and her son. And so her son really wants to do hockey lessons. And the hero is a pro hockey player, and he is a part of the family that we follow throughout the whole series. And he is coming back to the small town to visit his family and stay in the small town for a while. And he starts up doing hockey lessons, and that's where him and the heroine meet. And they just have like an instant connection and start hanging out more and more because he is really connected with her son. But she is very wary of letting someone in again, especially around her son. And they both are dealing with a lot of emotions and trauma, and they really do heal together. And I love the comfort hurt trope in this one. It is just so good. And he has a lot of guilt from his dad's passing, and she is trying to work through stuff from previous relationships, and it is just so good. And there's a lot of suspense with both things from their past, and it is so good. I just love Coop and Sutton, and I love their romance and how protective and obsessed he was with her, but also one of the best for her. And they really both overcome their fears and become stronger together. And it is just so beautiful. I definitely shed a tear in this one because it was just fantastic. Okay, and then I'm filming this in December. So the last book, it's just one of my favorites of the month so far, which is Funny Story by Emily Henry. This book is so good. So the heroine and hero have something in relation to each other, are related because both of their ex broke up with them and got together. And so now she has nowhere to live, and so she is staying with the hero and their roommates, and they just both got invited to their ex's wedding, and they're like, this is crazy that they're inviting us. Maybe we should fake date and pretend to date and get back at them. So they do that. And they don't do like the fake dating is an aspect of the book, but not a huge aspect. It's more of them trying to fake date, but then actually going on real dates and like finding who they want to be with each other. And this one is just so good. I loved how they both kind of like grew together and had so much character growth, and they would do these like fun little adventures together, like going to get ice cream or going to like a farmer's market, and they just really became friends first. And I love that so much. And they both are just so hurt from their past relationships, and so they really have to work through that trauma together, and it is just so good. And I just love this one. I love that the heroine, she is a librarian, and so we see a lot of really fun library content. And the hero, he's just like so unique, I feel like, and he's always just looking out for the best interest within the heroine. And I just love this one. Miles is such a sweetheart, and I loved their relationship, and this one is definitely a favorite of the year. All right, well, that is the last book I wanted to chat about in this video. I love all of these romances so much, and I just love doing this video at the end of the year. It's just so much fun to see what was one of my like favorites of each month. And let me know if you agree with some of these, or let me know your favorites by month, because I would love to know. And I want to thank you so much for watching this video, and I will see you guys in my next one. Bye.